Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Who Are We? And today we are talking about Sherman Hemsley. Roll that intro. Born February 1st, 1938 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His father worked at a printing press while his mother worked various factory jobs during the war. Hemsley was introduced to acting as a kid through school and through various church plays. The play that showed him that he should really start acting more is when he acted in a fire prevention play. And he loved the attention that he received from the kids that he wouldn't usually get, off stage, because he was very introverted to himself, kind of nervous and shy a little bit. But on stage, it was like even as a kid, I guess he had a bigger than life persona, and kids, his fellow, students loved that. So that's the very first inkling to him as a little kid, like maybe I should consider this. So he always kind of kept it in the back of his mind.
Most people think that everybody who gets in front of an audience for some reason is an extrovert. But many performers, when they're finished with what they're doing, are really rather...
Well, it happened when I was a kid, I guess I started acting in elementary school, And when I got on the stage in front of the kids, then that when they were like responsive to what I was doing, as opposed to when, as my normal self was like, come on, And it was a whole different feeling,
In other words, it's a way to get attention.
Yeah.
And kind of be removed on a one-to-one basis, but then all of a sudden you're now on a one-to-one basis, and it's uncomfortable.
As Hemsley grew into his teenage years, he gradually forgot about acting and started getting into sports since, his peers back then was like, man, you're acting, like, man, you need to start playing baseball. You need to start, just doing stuff like that, like play baseball, get into just different sports and stuff like that. So that's what he started doing. He started getting into baseball and just stuff outside of acting. I think the only thing that he did mention was that he wanted to be a singer at one time. He would try to be in like a little doo-wop group, mostly just to impress the girls and stuff. So
I got into junior high school. It wasn't too accepted. My boys said, hey, we want to be an actor, man. Come on. After I did the acting thing in elementary school, junior high school was when I became into the singing thing, harmonize with the group, make the girls swoon and stuff, So that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a part of either quartet or quintet.
Was there a certain something you would do to make the girls swoon? Like
just the way you sing.
Line?
Yeah,
No, go ahead, teach me.
You're driving me crazy. So you got that, didn't you?
One of those. Oh, you had to be. It was one of those.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Anyways, once Hemsley reached his sophomore year of high school, he dropped out. He dropped out in the 10th grade and joined the U.S. Air Force. Yes, he was in the Air Force. However, they didn't really station him anywhere until after the Korean War was over, so there was literally nothing for him to do. And this is what he said, which mostly took place.
But you joined the Air Force. I mean, you were a fighting man.
Yeah, right. Playing pinochle, drinking beer.
Right.
The Air Force was a lot of fighting.
Were you in any wars or anything?
No, we talked about it. That's about it. As we played pinochle.
So after the military, Hemsley, he tried to look for, jobs to get into. He didn't really want to get like a normal job at first. Like, he wanted to just do something that he thought he'd be interested in, since he always kind of had a thing for music as well. He wanted to play bass, but he didn't feel like carrying a big bass on his back and practicing and stuff like that. So he kind of went back, his mind kind of went way back to something that really gave him the most satisfaction as a kid, which was acting. So that just kind of triggered his mind to start looking into acting a little bit. However, he still didn't get into it right away. In the mid-50s, Hemsley enrolled in Bach Vocational Technical School in South Philadelphia, where he learned tailoring. However, once he found out how tedious it was to stitch clothing, he was like, I'm not doing this. Nah, this is too much. This is too tedious. I know. This is getting on my nerves. So he got out of that, and I find it ironic how he, was into tailoring and clothes and stuff like that long before he ever even got into the role of George Jefferson and stuff like that. Somehow, like, that kind of happened years and years ago, like in the 50s. Anyways, after he left the vocational school, a Bach vocational school and stuff like that, he got a retail sales position, I guess, in selling clothes and stuff like that. However, he didn't like that either, which, you know, hey, you know. So he moved into wanting to learn how to, I guess, cook and stuff like that. So he took up restaurant training for a little bit. And with that, he mostly said he wanted to mostly take up restaurant training just so he could eat his own cooking. I feel him on that. Yes. It's a blessing when you can eat your own cooking. If you can't eat your own cooking, I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, that's a good thing that he did that. And then after that, he finally left there. You know, he wasn't interested in that either. So once he finally left doing restaurant training, he finally settled down for a little bit at the U.S. Postal Service, and he worked there for 6 years.
But you worked, somebody told me, for the post office for a while?
Yeah, 6 years at the post office.
Or did you deliver mail, or were you working?
No, I worked inside, delivering, you know, like casing the mail and stuff like that. I did some delivery work. But it was a clean job and you got respect at home. My mother was proud. Hey, he's working for the government, you know. And things like that, you know. But I was always, and when I worked at the post office, I used to come in to the post office at midnight. Before that, I'd do a show, you know, in the community theater.
Yeah.
I'd go to work, and I'd go, in the morning, I'd catch a train up to New York to study. It was like a whole thing.
And then the
Just
post
hard work,
office.
but paid off.
So pretty much during those years, Hemsley was working graveyard shift, going back and forth from Philly to New York, attending theater workshop and plays to grow his acting skills. So pretty much he was on the go like 24/7. I don't even know how he even found time to sleep. I guess he would sleep going back and forth to Philly, probably sleeping on the train or something like that. But anyways, after years of acting locally and, you know, doing workshops, he felt like he had reached his limits in Philly. You know, you couldn't make much money in Philly back then acting and stuff like that. And so he enrolled in a play called Pearly. Well, the very first play that he acted in was called Once Upon a Mattress, where he was the understudy. And then the next play was Pearly, and that one, he was also an understudy.
I remember one Sunday I was reading the Sunday paper and I came across this article that had an audition for a play called Once Upon a Mattress. It was at this little local church theater group. And so I went up there, you know, to audition for it, you know, just to see if I could get a part. And I was lucky enough to land the part of understudying the wizard. And then it turned out that the guy that was supposed to play the part couldn't do it, so now I wound up doing the part. And then it was like a repertory theater company. And then the next thing that they did was a play called Pearly Victorious, which I got to audition for, and I got to understudy the role of Gitlow again, which, and the same thing happened. The guy was supposed to do the part, couldn't do it, so I had to do it. And it was well received in my character, and you know, they loved the play in the church theater. And it just so happens that that play would be the play that would lead to my success, which I had no idea about at the time.
This is where Norman Lear saw him. And you know, he said he didn't think that Norman Lear was coming to see him. He thought Norman Lear was coming to see other actors, which he was, but he didn't think like Norman Lear was really gonna pay him any attention like that. But like he said, it was something that Norman Lear saw in him that he just liked. And so he offered him, you know, to come out to California and audition for the role, for a role that he had for him. But at that time, Sherman Hemsley was like, nah, I'm good. I just want to stick with Pearly. You know, so for 2 years, Sherman Hemsley was on the road acting in that play Pearly on tour and stuff like that. And they couldn't get a hold of him because Sherman, he didn't have like, he wasn't stable at a residence. He was on the road. He only had a few things with him.
In fact, I didn't even have a home at that time. I was just on the road. That was it. I didn't know which way to turn. And they just happened to call, and they said, where are you? We're looking for you. We've been looking for you to be in our show. And I said, you sure? And I said, well, I'm in San Francisco. And they said, well, come down tomorrow and audition. And I went down there the next day. And that was it. In fact, I thought it was going to be Sanford and Son because I had no idea that they had a spot for me in All in the Family. But it just, as fate would have it, it was my time.
After Sherman Hemsley auditioned for the role, got the role, and he showed up on All in the Family as George Jefferson, it was like history from there on out. Like he said, like it was like he went up, like before he got on camera, you know, and debuted his part, everything, like people didn't really know who he was and stuff like that. And as soon as like he exited off the stage and went to his dressing room, everybody was asking him like, do you have representatives, management, stuff like everybody was asking him questions. So it's something how things can just change overnight for people. And fun fact, Isabel Sanford, who also acted as Louise Jefferson or Weezy, was 21 years older than Sherman Hemsley was. So when they started acting together, Sherman was 33 and Isabel was 54 when they started acting together on All in the Family. But he's just one of them people, he always looked older than what he was, so it blended well. And also he was just like a really good actor to where you believe that he was older than what he was, you know. Another fun fact is that Sherman Hemsley was, like I said earlier, he was actually an introverted hippie type of person. Like he was kind of like in that hippie lifestyle and introverted and stuff like that. So he mostly stayed to himself. He didn't talk much, you know, and it was like his personality in real life was completely different from that larger than life character that we would see as George Jefferson or Deacon Fry on Amen.
When you first became known, because I don't know you well, but I know that you're rather shy when you're not working.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't go out a great deal, right?
Right.
They had a party, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is there, and they're looking around. Somebody says, "Where's Sherm?" I said, "I don't know. Isn't he here?" And we had to get on the phone and call him at home. You didn't even show up for that party. I mean, you came over,
yeah,
but you really felt uncomfortable there. When's the last time you went out to?
That was the last time.
And we had to go get you.
A year after the Jeffersons ended, Hemsley, he got a role as Deacon Fry on the TV show Amen, which also lasted 5 seasons. Also during the late 80s, Hemsley invested in a movie called Ghost Fever, which wasn't really received well. And trust me, I watched as much as I could of that movie, and it was it could have used some work. I'm gonna just say that it could have used some work, maybe just better direction. I feel like the directing in that movie just wasn't there. Like the acting was okay, but the direction of the movie, I don't know what was going on. The producing, like whoever did the script writing, it wasn't there. But he wanted to invest in a film, you know, and just have something where he could be proud of, like work that he could be proud of, work that he invested in and stuff. So he invested in the film called Ghost Fever.
In fact, you know what it was? We had the script, and we were going to do it, and then everybody said we couldn't do it. So I said, well, look, nobody would want to invest the money. But when we started, we really didn't have a script. It was like, so everybody looked at it and said, what is this? What is this?
Right.
So we got down to Mexico. We were already committed, so we got down there.
Were you guys high at the time when you decided?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
Did you really think it was a great script?
No, we knew it wasn't. But we were in it, so we had to make it work, you know.
Right. So you put up like about $2.5 million.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, and Louis Avalos, he co-wrote with the I can't remember the director's name. He won't admit that he directed it.
Was that all your money, $2.5 million?
At the time, it was close.
It was close.
That's a lot of money to have in the bank for an actor.
And did all your friends say to you, "You're crazy.
Yeah,
Do
everybody
not
said
put
that.
up your own money for a film."
And what did you say to them at that time?
I said, hey, nobody else is doing it. And I figured I wanted to do something, you know, on my own, produce something, to get familiar with the film thing. And
now you're familiar.
yeah, but I'll do it again.
You would do it again.
Yeah, I'll do it again.
No, don't do it again.
But a good project. You
No,
know.
but don't do it again. Let me read the project for you first. And let's see if we can get you some financing.
All right.
Moving into the 90s and 2000s, Hemsley acted in many TV shows and movies as side characters, such as Sister Sister as the grandpa on there, Family Matters as, like, I think the dad's boss or something like that, like the chief police officer or something like that. He acted on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I think, as a grandfather on there. Seems like after the Jeffersons and even Amen, it seems like they were throwing him like grandfather roles, like where he's a little bit more happier. He's not as mean, you know, still a little bit comical, still a little bit fiery, but he wasn't as mean. Like, and they just mostly gave him a lot of grandfather roles. But he also acted in, like I said, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the TV show Dinosaurs, Good Behavior. He also acted in the Gap and Old Navy commercials. He acted in Up, Up, and Away, which is one of my favorite Disney-owned movies growing up. I used to watch that movie on TV, and I think that was my very first exposure to him was from that movie. Also, he, even towards the end of his life, he acted in Tyler Perry House of Pain. I remember watching the early years of Tyler Perry House of Pain, but I don't even remember seeing that episode, but he acted on there, and just many other TV shows and movies. Like, his catalog, his discography, whatever you want to call it, is very, very long. Overall, something that we can learn from Hemsley is that if you're doing something you love, continue to do it, it don't matter how old you are. With him, he didn't reach the height of his career and interest until he was like in his early 30s. You know, he didn't start acting until he was honestly really into his mid-20s, like when he got out of the service. So it shows you, like, it doesn't matter how old you are. You know, if you love something, stay consistent with it. Keep that passion there and do it because you love to do it. And eventually you're gonna make it where you want to be at. Just got to stay consistent with it. So thank you guys for watching. Also, I want to say thank y'all for watching my Maggie Walker documentary. I'm gonna be doing more Who Are We mini documentary styles, just to switch up the style of my Black History videos. You know, they won't just always be in person, just chilling and stuff like that, and just talking to y'all in front of the camera. It's gonna be actually like a little bit higher production quality where I'm really traveling more, putting in more of the work, writing out scripts, doing all that type of stuff. So be on the lookout for more documentary style episodes as well. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for I can't talk today. Thank you guys for supporting. Oh, also, I almost cut off this camera, but also feel free to get some Who Are We merch. Link is in the description. Go ahead and check that out. Use the discount code CRP2000 for free shipping. And yeah, we got some nice stuff in there. Who Are We merch. I eventually want to like do some other types of Who Are We merch, like, you know, like maybe people that I've done in the past, like videos on. I may like have a picture of them and have Who Are We on like under their picture or whatever. Do something like that. I don't know. We'll think of something. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.
If you could ever go back and do anything differently, would you?
No, I don't think so. Everything's working out fine, you know, because you have to fall a couple times. You gotta. No, I'd be glad to do it again. The whole thing. If it turns out like this.